Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of MC Commute. My name is Michael Gilbert, this week's host of the episode, and today we are riding a motorcycle that I am particularly excited about, the 2020 Kawasaki Ninja 1000 SX. This model gets updated for the 2020 model year, a bit more beyond than just the new bodywork that we see on the outside. So, that being said, we got a lot to talk about. Why don't we get on the road? All right, guys, the 2020 Kawasaki Ninja 1000 SX. This model, like I said, gets a few updates. Obviously, it's got the new bodywork, a little bit more aggressive. It's got LED headlights, and it also has a more upright windscreen. One thing you'll notice that if you guys are familiar with the 2019 model, it only has one exhaust. This motorcycle actually used to have mufflers coming out both sides of it, so that actually cleans up the look of it just a little bit. It's got the Bridgestone Battle Axe S22 tires. These tires I am particularly fond of, and it also gets it has 300 millimeter dual disc brakes up here, twin piston calipers. So let's get this thing on the road. Let's fire this thing up. All right. Nice little note to it. I like it. And we are off on our way to the Irvine Motorcyclist offices. So let's start by talking a little bit about what this motorcycle is and its place in Kawasaki's lineup. This is the biggest Ninja of the bunch, and I know that I'm going to get a little criticism on that, and let me explain for just 1 second. This is the biggest Ninja in Kawasaki's sport lineup, which also includes the parallel twin Ninja 400 and also Ninja 650. You're going to also remember the Kawasaki Ninja ZX6, ZX10, ZX14s, and also the H2 supercharged models, which are also Ninjas, but this is going to be the biggest of Kawasaki's sport lineup. Now, being that it is the biggest Ninja in that sport lineup, it is the biggest displacement. It gets a 1043cc inline-four power plant, which gets slightly updated for the 2020 model year. It gets new cam profiles, just reduced tappet noise, just essentially trying to make a smoother, quieter running motorcycle out on the road. But the big news for this power plant is that it now gets Kawasaki's Electronic Throttle Valves, or ETV as the company likes to say it, which essentially means that they have eliminated the actual throttle cable, and now it is ride-by-wire. All right. Ripping and tearing. So with the ETV, I have to comment that I think Kawasaki has done a good job. I think that when we've seen other motorcycles, maybe not so much from Kawasaki, but other manufacturers switch to a ride-by-wire ETV type system, they've kind of lost the feeling of a natural throttle in your wrist. It sometimes feels like you twist the throttle and there's a bunch of computers doing a bunch of calculating, and then it delivers the power that it thinks is right, and it just sometimes feels a little bit numb. It feels like you're disconnected from the throttle. Kawasaki has done a good job of remaining a natural feeling in the wrist, and I'll show you what I mean. This thing gets off the line pretty good. Can't haul too much butt. There was a cop sitting at that light, so we'll just get this thing going. With the ETV, Kawasaki has also given this motorcycle a couple new features. It's got a new cruise control system, which you can see these buttons here. We'll play with that when we get out on the highway. It also gets new logic behind the traction control maps, which just a little bit more precise with that ETV, and also working with the Bosch IMU, the inertial measurement unit, to be as precise as possible. One thing that is also new on this Kawasaki Ninja 1000 SX is the addition of 3 ride modes. It would be sport, road, and rain, and then an additional 4th setting, which is a rider setting, which allows you to customize those internal throttle response and traction control settings to your liking. Right now we're in road mode, which is kind of right in the middle of a dry condition setting. Sport will have slightly less traction control. Road will just have a little bit more, but still tuned for dry conditions and kind of ripping through the back roads. And then there's the rain mode, which actually dumbs down the power. It puts in low power setting, which essentially drops the outright power output to 70% from its maximum capability, and it also puts it in traction control level 3, which just adds a sense of a degree of control or a degree of safety, and really limits wheel spin. Speaking of, why don't we switch to rain mode and just kind of see what it feels like in the dry. So we're gonna hold down on this button here, and now we are in rain. So when we'll jump past this car and we'll rip through one of these corners up here. So you'll hear it, and I'll be able to feel it when we rip through this corner. I'll get on gas. It'll work with that IMU to really limit the power output of this motorcycle. All right, let's go. Man, you can hear it. You can hear it. One thing you guys will probably notice is I've been ripping through shifts without the clutch. This Ninja 1000 SX also gets a new bidirectional quick shifter, which allows for clutchless up and down shifts. I think it's a pretty neat feature. It's nice to see some of that technology making its way from super sport machines like the ZX-10 now down to lower cost models or sport touring models, something that we may have not have thought of in the past. Kawasaki did a really good job. It offers really seamless up and down shifts, and I think with the down shifts, it kind of adds a sense of safety. You know, if you get yourself into a panic situation and you make a bunch of downshifts and you're trying to make a corner, that little auto blip feature will help keep the motorcycle in line and not add too much input to the chassis as you make your way through the gearbox. Or for example, if you make an accidental downshift, that little auto blip feature will also aid there. 32.1 inch seat height, I really like that. It allows my little 5'7" stature to comfortably navigate some slow speed maneuvers. Overall, the chassis remains relatively the same. The main frame is the same as the 2019 model, but Kawasaki did give the suspension new internal damping settings, really just to create a little bit more supple ride. And honestly, it rides like a magic carpet. I really enjoyed this motorcycle. I actually took it up to California's famous Palomar Mountain Road last week with Adam Wahid, and he was on another motorcycle, but I really enjoyed this bike. That road is not the most perfect conditions, and this bike kind of just glided right over it. Sometimes I do have to admit that I feel like it lacks just slight big hit support, maybe hitting big potholes or big dips in the road. I think that the damping could be a little bit stiffer, maybe towards the bottom of the stroke, but overall I think Kawasaki did a really good job of finding a good balance between that big hit and top of the stroke support. Man, this thing gets up and goes. I actually had it out at our testing facility last week, running quarter mile and braking tests, and this motorcycle actually did an 11.4 quarter mile, which being the category, I think is pretty respectable. This thing kind of gets up and goes, and really launching off the line, I think that assist slipper clutch that Kawasaki has given this motorcycle plays role in easy launches, a little bit lighter clutch feel, and then that slipper also aids those downshifts like we were talking about, or maybe hard braking zones. I like it. They did a good job. Another rider aid that this bike has is ABS, which comes standard. It works with that Bosch IMU to provide good, consistent feel and function at the lever. Kawasaki, this has the 300 millimeter disc up front, offers really good stopping power, and I like that. Very consistent. Sometimes I feel a little like it's just a little bit touchy at the lever, but overall really good. Speaking of the lever, we got some adjustability here. We also have adjustability over on the clutch as well. I like that. People with smaller hands, bigger hands, whatever it may be, you can kind of dial in the lever position to what you would like. So we talked a little bit about the 32.1 inch seat height. Relatively low. I find that it fits my 5'7" stature quite well. Being that this motorcycle is designed to be a sport tour, it's a little bit more upright ergonomics than you might find on a Kawasaki ZX-10 or ZX-6. Oops. Obviously the handlebars are above the triple clamps, which gives it just a nice relaxed reach to the bars. The lower stance, however, is slightly aggressive, and you know, I find it to my liking. I'm a rider that really utilizes my legs in controlling the motorcycle, especially in the twisty sections of road, and I find this up and back foot peg position to really work with me and allow me to ride the motorcycle with my legs. I like it. I don't really feel cramped on this bike. However, I have to comment on the seat of the Ninja 1000 SX. Kawasaki says that it's a new seat, and I think they said that they had stiffened it. Honestly, I wish it was a little bit softer. I feel like it kind of digs in to my sit bones and my hips a little bit. I'll show you when we get off the motorcycle. It kind of has this sharp contour that I feel just kind of digs right in. So that being said, I think that if I were to own this motorcycle, I would probably be in the market for a modified seat or custom seat, maybe. Just something a little bit more comfortable, not so sharp-edged. Because realistically, when I was out riding Palomar the other day, we did maybe 175 miles, 200 miles in a day, and I found that I was kind of standing up and searching for relief. Maybe even halfway into that, after 100 miles, it kind of felt like I needed to stand up and just kind of stretch my legs out and get off the seat. Super smooth throttle response, especially in this road mode with traction control level 2. It's very friendly yet highly entertaining. This motorcycle, it has tons of power, especially for sport touring. I don't think you should really be needing any more. I think this motorcycle hauls butt, and I have a lot of fun on it. I really do have a lot of fun on it. Let's kind of blitz through some traffic here. Let's get this roundabout. And really show what this motorcycle can do on the side of the tire. Oops. Sneak through there. This motorcycle, we're gonna run through this light. Uh-oh. Made it. This motorcycle weighs 533 pounds with the 28-liter saddlebags on it, which are an accessory from Kawasaki for $899. Honestly, I blew it. I kind of left those at home on accident, but I'll show you guys those another time. All right, here we go. 533 pounds. I want to say 508 without the bags. All right. Man, this bike is so good on the side of the tire. Being a little bit heavier, it takes a little bit more work to get it turned into the corner or from side to side transitions, especially in the upper body. But once you get it in, super planted, and just kind of glides through the corner. I really enjoy riding this bike. Alright guys, we are on California Highway 5 headed to the Irvine office. Kind of going along with the chassis and what we talked about. It kind of just glides over all the imperfections. I find this bike to be really comfortable on the highway. It's also got that cruise control function, which I'll try and find a little bit of clear space and show you guys here. All right, let's turn this bad boy on. So we tapped on, now we're gonna press set and we're cruising. A little bit of relief in the right hand. Big rides, maybe if you're gonna do 500 miles plus day, 300, 200, I don't know. I really enjoy cruise control on motorcycles. Maybe I'm spoiled, but it is a nice function. I really do enjoy Kawasaki's update of the windscreen, a little bit more upright. It protects a little bit from that wind blast. Honestly, there really isn't much happening right now. It's quite a pleasant, quiet ride, very comfortable. We got this new 4.3-inch TFT dash that is very well laid out, very clean, offers plenty of information. If we're going to switch, you can tap this button just once. Now we can go through the top. Here's our trip B, lean. There's our max lean. Left side 52 degrees and right side 50. This motorcycle gets down in the corners. I really like that odometer. Now, if we click through the bottom, we're gonna get range, average speed, total time, battery. That, I think, is our current miles per gallon, average miles per gallon, which we should comment on that too. I've been seeing roughly low 30s on this bike average. That includes ripping through the canyons, riding to and from work, a little bit of highway riding. Maybe not the best average fuel economy on the market, but I also think that this motorcycle is very highly entertaining to get on the throttle, which might affect that just a little bit. Overall though, it's got a 5-gallon tank, so 30 miles a gallon, you're getting 150 miles to a tank roughly. Ride a little bit easier than I have, you'll probably get a little bit more. Being a sport tourer, I kind of expect to be able to get maybe 200-ish, especially if you're starting to cover some treks in remote locations where maybe fuel stops aren't as readily available. So we can kill the cruise control either with a shift, touch of the brake, and or clutch. I've never really I don't think I've ever seen it with a clutch, so we should just try that. All right, so cruise control is off. Now we're just riding. Kawasaki Ninja 1000 SX mirrors. We got the mirrors on both sides, obviously. I've never been a fan of the Kawasaki mirrors. I feel like I'm a little limited on actual visuals. Sometimes I feel like they could just be slightly larger. Overall, the mirrors, they're okay. I'd give them maybe a 6 or 7 out of 10. I wish that we had a little bit more area to see. Overall, they don't really vibrate, which is nice. You can get a clear picture of what's going on behind you. Just like this motorcycle, very smooth running, kind of just glides over everything. Throttle response, super smooth. Sometimes just a tad bit touchy in the brake, but overall really smooth. Quickshifter, again, kind of adds to that too. All right, one more roundabout. Let's put these Bridgestone Battle Axe S22 tires to the test. Doesn't look like we're gonna get it done today. It looks like there's an accident. I hope those fellows are okay. Oh man, that's a little brutal. All right, everyone, be safe out there. Hopefully we can get another quick turn here. All right, so we're gonna switch down from ride modes. So there's rain. There's rider. We're going to give you the rider setting. We have TC off. We know how much you guys love these wheelies, so I'll try to attempt to do a better wheelie than I did on the MT-03 on my first MC Commute. Hopefully I can get some redemption for you guys. Another neat feature with this Kawasaki, is the ability to connect the motorcycle to Kawasaki's Rideology app. This app offers vital information to the motorcycle, all your trips, your ride times, GPS. It actually allows you to tune the rider setting to your liking. I've used this app on the Ninja H2 SX as well. Pretty neat feature. It's cool to see manufacturers starting to incorporate little bits like that. All right. Yeah, super smooth. Kind of pops itself right up. First gear, no traction control. Let's see if we can back this thing in. Back this thing in a little bit. Nope. That auto blip, slipper clutch, ABS really kind of kicks in, holds this thing in line. I like it. Kind of eliminates some of your thought process to riding motorcycles. Kind of just helps keep everything in line. All right, guys, we've pretty much made it to the office here. I know that we're going to get some comments on this being a sport tour and the Kawasaki Ninja H2 SX SE Plus. A big name, I know. How do I compare these motorcycles? The H2 is obviously the supercharged model. The more premium model comes with the semi-active suspension. It also is double the price of this Ninja 1000 SX, which, speaking of, comes in at a $12,399 MSRP, $200 more than the 2019 model. That being said, I think that this Ninja 1000 SX represents a good value in the class. Very comfortable, very overall balanced motorcycle. Has a lot of power, good chassis, good comfort. Hold for this seat right here, which I said I was going to tell you guys about. Just a little bit of a sharp contour that kind of just digs into my sit bones a little bit while I'm riding. I would probably get another seat for this bike. Would I spend double the money to get the H2 SX? Probably not. I think this motorcycle offers everything that you need for sport touring, and I really did have a lot of fun on this. So that is our MC Commute of the 2020 Ninja 1000 SX. I really enjoyed it. I hope you guys did too. If you like this video, be sure to give us a like, comment. We want to hear from you, and subscribe to the Motorcyclist Online YouTube channel. Thanks for having me, guys, and we'll see you next time.